Hi guys, today is May 15th, so we're about a month since we've planted out our vegetable plants and started preparing the garden again for season 2022. So here's a little progress update. We'll start with our strawberries, and I'm totally loving these vertical planters that I got. So I actually got them in Lidl in Ireland. They're marketed as potato planters, but I thought I'd give them a go and put our strawberries in it this year. So they were 4 in a set for, I think it was $14.99. What I'd done was filled them up with compost and planted obviously the strawberry plants in. So there's 3 plants in each of the tiers. So these plants here are plants brand new, bought in B&Q this year. I think they were like $8.99 for 6 plants. And these plants here are plants that I had from last year. So these ones are last year's plants. These ones are last year's plants that we thought were actually dying. But I decided to plant them anyway. And you can see that there is a lot of new growth on them. And I even have some flowers on this one, so it's a good job. I just put them in there because I had the space just to see if they would grow or not, and they all seem to be coming on. But you can see the plants that I got this year, I mean, they're absolutely thriving. There's loads of flowers on them. I'm even starting to get some runners coming off them, so call them runners, but I call them free strawberries because this is what I'm going to use off each of the plants. I'll use a couple of runners to plant new strawberry plants, and we'll increase our crop then for next year. And I'll show you how I do that. It's kind of just, it's fairly easy. But look at this here, a nice juicy green strawberry, but hopefully in a couple of weeks it'll start to turn. So I'm really happy with the strawberry plants. Our cabbage and our lettuce, they're all coming on. So one of the last videos you saw, we planted them. So we had initially bought planters from starts from a garden centre. So the starts are $3.99 for a packet of 12. So generally at the start of the season we buy some vegetable starts and then sow our own seeds later on, just to kind of get things started and kicked off the ground, because seeds at the very start of the season take a really long time to come, because the heat is not there and it's just it takes a little bit longer. But these already started, so we planted them. We put some fertilizer pellets in the ground, and we thought that the plants were actually dying because we thought maybe the fertilizer pellets might have killed the roots, or maybe just been a bit that harsh for the roots. So we planted some more. We got some more vegetable starts, planted some more, but miraculously they all come back. So now we've got like an abundance of cabbage and an abundance of lettuce. So you see here this is our cabbage. Some heads are a little bit stronger than others, and I like this one here. You can kind of see the head coming together and starting. But as I said, a vegetable start, even if you don't want to plant your own seeds from scratch, from seed, your vegetable starts, generally most places will sell them $3.99 for a packet of 12. So here's our lettuce. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's about 25-30 heads of lettuce there. So unfortunately we're going to be eating quite a lot of lettuce very soon, because as you can see from some of them, obviously some are quite small coming here, but some of them are quite chunky. And I'm actually going to pull a few of these heads and start using them now because they're ready to be used. But again, $12.99, or sorry, $3.99 for a packet of 12, or you can buy a packet of seeds, I think for about €2 or $2.49, and you get approximately 1,500 seeds in a packet of lettuce. Approximately $2.49 for a packet of greyhound seeds, and you get about 350 seeds in a packet, and the same with cauliflower. So your packets of seeds range between €2 and €5 depending on the brand and the type you get. You know, Brussels sprouts are $3.99 or $4.99 for a packet of seeds. There's 20 seeds in a Brussels sprout packet. You know, 1,000 seeds in lettuce, 1,000 plus. There might be 40 or 50 seeds in a packet of cauliflower or broccoli, depending on the brand you get. So this is our cauliflower here. You can see grown loads. Again, these ones here are a little bit bigger than the ones back here, which is fine. They'll just come in at different times, but you can kind of see from the plant itself in the middle here, it's kind of starting to form a little head. So what will happen is in the next couple of weeks, those plants will get those leaves will get a little bit tighter, and you'll actually start seeing the head of cauliflower. You'll see the white little head appear just out of the blue, and they'll come up. So cauliflower is one that you're going to have to keep an eye on if you have it planted, because the head will appear and it'll grow, but it will quite quickly go to seed if you don't catch it in time. So you just need to keep an eye and make sure you harvest it. Cauliflower is an excellent vegetable for freezing. Again, here we have some more cabbage plants that we have. A little bit eaten here, so what we done yesterday was we put loads of slug pellets all around the perimeter there to try and stop that. But you know, you can see the leaves here again kind of tightening in a little bit and starting to form a head, so hopefully that'll come up fairly soon. And here is some lettuce seeds. These lettuce seeds, so it's butterhead lettuce, so packet of lettuce seeds, we always plant butterhead lettuce because we just think that's our favorite. So everyone has a different preference. So we've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are actually lettuce seeds that I have grown from seed itself, so it'll take a couple of weeks for them to form a little bit more and hopefully get nice and chunky. Down here is the spring onions that I have sowed in my makeshift raised bed, and by makeshift raised bed I mean I've sewed nailed some pieces of wood together in a square and just put it down on the ground. What I've done to make sure it's kind of nice and fertile, so I've the most of the soil that's here in this is actually compost, bed potting compost. Again, as you can see, I've sowed 3 rows of scallion seeds. They're quite small seeds to sow, and it's quite difficult to space them out enough, but you don't need to thin out these. I mean, they'll grow, they'll just continue growing like that. So I mean, they're not going to get too massively big before they're pulled. I mean, it's starting to come in, so you can kind of see. I'll just pull this one so you can kind of see. I mean, you get your little bit of onion head there at the bottom and your scallion up at the top. These are completely pest free, nothing in them. They taste amazing. They're very, very, very good. Nothing like you taste in the shop, but they'll continue to grow. So what will happen is once we start harvesting these, I'll just kind of toss up the soil a little bit more and grow some more seed, and we'll have scallions. Again, we've got some tomato plants here. The way we're doing them. So I've got Gardener's Delight, cherry tomato, 2 cherry tomatoes, Gardener's Delight again, another tomato, super sweet, again it's a cherry tomato, and then I've got 2 Shirleys here, which is a big regular sized tomato, and Shirley again, regular sized tomato, regular sized tomato. I did have a 6th one here where the wheelbarrow is, but we were kind of pruning and digging up the weeds along it, and pruned a little bit too much and chopped the whole tomato off from the root. So I think it's actually deceased, but we've got some more tomato plants growing from seed to carry on. So as you can see, and kind of the string there to keep them held up, and we might just put something across in between here to kind of help with the structure of them, so they'll grow up straight and as much as we can, so we can kind of get in around them and see what, again, it's flying along and some flowers coming, and hopefully, I think possibly 2 months maybe it might take for them to come up. I don't have any seeds to sow, but I do have a few seeds to sow. Again, I was sowing earlier on today, so I've done some more seeds. So I've got 6 cabbage, 6 cherry tomato plants, 6 cauliflower, 6 lettuce, and this is 20 Brussels sprouts. So what I'm going to do is just going to water them a little bit and bring them on. Up here I have got some turnips. So I've only 3 of them, didn't have any more seeds today to plant out, so I'm going to get some more turnip seeds and plant them out. So we'll plant them out outside, quite tasty. They don't really grow too big, which is nice. So I've got some cauliflower seeds popping up here again, so they're kind of coming on a little bit stronger, so they won't be too long before they'll be able to plant out. And then some cabbage seeds. So it's nice and handy that we can actually sow these from seed and bring up our own plants to make it much more cheaper, rather than, you know, it's quite reasonable to pay $3.99 for fresh vegetable seeds or fresh vegetable starters, but when you're growing your own from seed, it makes it kind of ridiculously cheap, because as I said, a packet of cabbage seeds for $2.49 and you get 350 seeds in it, and even if you were only to get half them to grow, it's still quite reasonable. In here I've got some cherry tomato plants that I grew from seed a couple of weeks ago. So this is 4 weeks now, and this is the stage that they're at. Some of them are a little bit better off than others, but it's quite good. So they'll get much stronger over the next couple of weeks, because the sun is actually starting to come in, the heat is actually starting to come into the area. And these then are just regular tomatoes, and I'll water them later on today. So we're going to actually sow one of them over here where we killed the tomato plant, where we kind of made it, you know, to its early grave, and then the rest I'm going to sow outside and see how they go on outside. Down here is just the few flower seeds that I've sowed that are kind of coming up, so we'll just scatter them around the front of the house a little bit. Outside we've grown our potatoes, so we're quite happy with the potatoes. So lots of growth has started to peer up and above ground, so you can kind of see here, this is a potato growth. Some are a little bit bigger than others. Obviously this one is quite big. You know, there's others starting to peer up. Here's another one starting to peer up there, so that's kind of good that they're all spacing in. Some are not as obedient as others. You know, what we would have liked is that the growth would come up into the drill. So what we done is we digged a trench, a big hole down, put the seed potatoes down probably about 1 foot apart, and then trenched them up. You can kind of see the trench here at either side. Ideally we would have all liked them like this one, that they would come up the middle, but some aren't as obedient as others, and obviously this one has come up and peered out the side. There's some down here. See this one here? This is a potato plant coming out the side. Again, the same, this one here. But you know, we're thankful. Again, here's another one coming out the side. But thankful that they're actually kind of grown. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drills of potatoes, and hopefully, you know, we've kind of grown them at different times and a couple of weeks apart. So these are, again, as I said, order potatoes, first early crop, but we kind of harvest them throughout the whole season. So I think, you know, these get water every day, so hopefully in 6 weeks or so they'll all be up in the ground and peering out and flowering, and you know, they seem to be growing. If there's anything under them is another question, but we'll just have to wait and see. down here what we sowed are onions. So we've got some onion seeds, red onions, white onions, and we just kind of give them a lash to see earlier on. And here is the last of what I didn't realise was the last of the broccoli seeds that I had planted. So here's 6 broccoli plants that we've planted out. These are my own grown from seed plants. Planted them 4 weeks ago, and they're strong enough now to kind of hit the ground, and hopefully, you know, they'll come up in a few weeks. This is again our own cauliflower seeds. Plants are reasonably strong out in the garden, and again I would imagine by 4 or 5 weeks they'll be ready to be pulled. And a whole pile of cabbage. So this is our own seed again. I think it's a mix of greyhound cabbage and roundhead cabbage, but you know, just a variety of different cabbage. Again, when this all comes in, it'll be like an abundance of cabbage, and it'll be going free to all the neighbours, but you know, at a couple of cents a head. I mean, it's nice to enjoy it yourself and have your own cabbage pulled from your own ground on your dinner table, but it's nice to share with other people as well, and it's a nice gesture. I mean, it's a couple of cents, so why wouldn't you give it if you have it, rather than having it go to waste. And this is my carrots that I sowed this morning. So generally we don't normally sow carrots. We haven't really ever had much success with carrots, although we're by no means anyway of an expert on sowing any sort of vegetable. The soil that we have tends to be quite limey, and generally when the carrots start to grow they kind of get entangled around each other and not really develop into proper carrots that you can eat. So what I've done is here I've dug a trench and filled it with compost, and put some compost in there and sow them in compost, and hopefully they will grow again. And the last thing that we have around here is a whole heap of mess that we need to kind of clean up and spray. These are some more strawberry plants that we have. These plants are free strawberry plants, so we got these from runners last year. So we're just going to let them grow for this season in situ where they are, and then kind of relocate them in terms of positions next year. So what I was thinking against this wall here is to maybe put some railway sleepers out along the wall and kind of use that as a raised strawberry bed. So if anyone has any suggestions, that would be greatly appreciated. So thank you guys for spending some time with me today in my garden. Any tips, any suggestions on how to kind of get a better crop, and you know, to kind of tend to the crop, would be greatly appreciated. Please help me with this channel in terms of my education for growing vegetables, and I'd be grateful if you could like and subscribe. Thanks guys, see you again.